Hello and welcome to West Underground. Today, I am super stoked and super excited because we're doing an interview with the Velvet Starlings. And this is sick because, this is our first international interview. And, dude, I just want to hear like the story of your band and also like, what life is like in, living it up in LA.
Yeah, dude. So thanks for having Velvet Starlings on. We're super psyched to be here. Sadly, it's just me. The rest of the Starlings could not make it. But yeah, dude. Basically how we started off the top. I started playing guitar and doing farmers markets and stuff, and eventually started playing some shows. And the current lineup of the band is me on guitar and keys, and then we got Foster on drums, and then his brother Hudson on bass. And we met at a Cage the Elephant show like 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And if they knew all the chords to like, or all the drum and bass parts to like every Cage the Elephant, Jack White, The Who, all that stuff. And those are all my favorite bands. And I know the guitar chords. So we just started jamming and made a record.
Yeah.
And it was our debut record. And it's called Pacific Standard Time. And we were super excited for it to come out. But then COVID happened. So we ended up not putting it out. And we made another record in the lockdown, like in my living room. And that has become what our new debut album is. And it's called Technicolor Shakedown. So we have our second record already made and completed that's going to come out next year. But our new album, our first album, is coming out on September 29th. So
cool, man. And like, your music has, I was saying to you off before we started this, when you joined the Zoom chat, I didn't know if we were going to be interviewing Liam Gallagher or, because your music is so, you can hear the UK influences in it. And I was going to ask the story, like, did you meet in the UK or did you form your band in LA?
No, we actually met. Yeah, I'm from Santa Monica, so like beach area, and then they live in Orange County, a place called San Clemente. And we actually met like 5 minutes from my house. Cage the Elephant, they did like this private show at the studio that they recorded their last album at. And I won tickets to it. And then they knew someone who had tickets and just worked out from there. They came to a couple of shows, and then over quarantine, like in COVID, we just started playing together and here we are.
That's a cool story, man. Like not many, we've interviewed lots of bands and like you're the first band to have started or met each other at a gig, that's pretty cool. And what's the reception like to your music, in the States? Like are people confused like when they, because it's, I could imagine, you guys just fucking popping off in the UK or through Europe, but like even over here in Australia, but like what's the reception like in the States?
It's actually pretty cool because what's happening right now, basically like the psych garage scene kind of started, I would want to say, with like, the OCs and Ty Segall. Those are some of the biggest names and they all come out of LA. But then you got the other side with Psychedelic Corn Crumpets and King Gizzard and all. It's the same sound basically that's happening in Australia. And I think it's because King Gizzard, they all saw the OCs in Australia in like 2009. And they kind of got into that thing. And then they, put out Mind Fuzz on Castle Face. And it's just kind of a thing where it's a huge community of the people who like psych rock and like the, neo psych garage, psych punk thing. So everyone's kind of doing that here in LA and then in Australia, and then there's bands in the UK who are doing it too. And then there's different levels of it, like, some bands are more punk, like Bass Drum of Death, or then you got more who are more in the psychedelic temples, temples there in the UK. And so the more British side of our music over here, there's certain songs that we're going to do that are more American sounding that, people like. There's a really big punk contingency here in OC. So when we play at like house shows and stuff, we're going to try and go harder. But sometimes we want to do stuff that sounds more, Oasis or Supergrass. Supergrass are one of my favorite bands. We had tickets to see them at the Wiltern before COVID happened, and then they got canceled. I hope they come back. I've never seen Supergrass live, but But yeah, dude.
Yeah, man, I'm sure you'll get to see Supergrass like at some point. But like have you got ambitions to like, come over here to Sydney in Australia? Like is that on the bucket
Yeah,
list?
dude. Between us, Australia is like the place we want to go more than anywhere because Australia, like people like rock here,
Yeah.
of course, in the US, but I feel like there's so many choices in LA that just there's less of people who are into rock, not because it's just there's not enough room because there's all these different genres that take
Yeah.
precedent over rock in LA. There's so many people, like all my friends in high school, they all love Drake and Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B and stuff like that. Whereas in Australia, I feel like rock is still kind of number one. And like King Gizzard, they're the band that everyone's talking about. Whereas here, the stuff that everyone's talking about, it's more like, Cardi B. They're not talking about, whoever the big rock band is over here at high school, or, like my grandmother doesn't know who King Gizzard is, but she should. But yeah.
Dude, it's so weird that you keep mentioning King Gizzard because I like over here, I feel like Tame Impala is more influential than
Oh yeah, Tame Impala. That's probably a better example. I don't use them as much because their newer stuff is more like chill way. Like it's like their first two records are full on,
yeah,
rock
the first
music.
two records fucking like are great, and I feel like now they're slipping, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Some of the production is getting more into like, and I don't blame Kevin Parker. If you could have the whole world be into your music versus like this really small number of nerds on Reddit, why not? But King Gizzard, they have the subreddit, the support for the King Gizzard. Like I think they have 56,000 contributors, and they all buy all the records and go to all the shows and follow them. Like they have the craziest fan base. But we were talking about Australia, and we're actually signed to Golden Robot Records in
Yeah,
Australia. And they have a lot of also super cool bands from the UK, like the Crooks and the Dirty Laces and the Chase.
yeah.
And yeah, we in the contract it says that should it be that something happens, we go to Australia, some touring. That would be my biggest dream, to go over there and do some snorkeling, go watch King Gizzard and their hometown, because over here they play every once in a while, but over there I've seen them post on Instagram like, we're doing 5 nights and we're doing all different songs every night and they're 2-hour sets, and like that would be the dream, going to one of those shows.
Yeah, dude, like you could totally do it. King Gizzard, they're based in Melbourne, yeah.
I
I'm
think
like,
so.
yeah, like I think you would be really shocked when you go to Melbourne and you see the size of Melbourne. Like it's not very big. You could probably like
Wow.
even go to like not find their house.
I mean, there's so many awesome Australia. Like when we were at Summerfest last time, we played this time. We got to open for the Struts, but last time we went, and the day after, Courtney Barnett was there. She's one of my
Hey,
favorites.
dude, just take a pause there, man, because let's talk about the Struts because the Struts are fucking huge here. Like I can't emphasize that. Like the the Struts are big, man. Like to us, like we think like the Struts have like made it to some level. Like when they came over here, man, they're doing like big shows and everyone just fucking loves them. Like what
Yeah,
was that
dude.
like meeting the Struts and fucking chilling with the dudes?
Oh, that was awesome. Basically, I went in and I asked their manager. He was there on his computer while they were playing, and I was like, "Hey, so are they going to be dipping after the set, or are they going to be? Are we going to be able to say hi?" And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Oh, well, because what do you mean why?" And he's like, "We're in a COVID protocol, man." I was like, "Oh, okay, so you're a dick." And then we walk away, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the Struts, they're not going to want to, they got to have their masks on and everything." Me and Foster, we sat down, and then Luke is like doing a solo thing, like playing on the piano, and Geth and Adam, they walk in, they're like, "Oh, what's up, mate? Oh, you got," and they were super nice and super chill, and they were talking about surfing, and they were like, "Oh, so are you from here?" And we were like, "Oh no, we're from Los Angeles." And they were like, "Oh, no way, we live in LA too." And it was super cool because they're really down to earth, chill guys, but then on stage they just go hard. And I know some of their songs, but I remember I was talking to our tour manager Dave, and he was like, even the songs I've never heard, like I feel like I know them because they're just that good. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
And
I had the same feeling as well when we saw him in Sydney. Because I knew a few songs when they came on, and as soon as they play, I was like, hang on, I like this song as well. So then I put it on my Spotify playlist and everything. So it opens up a whole, like, just familiarize. But it's
Like,
just funny how you were saying that you want to come to Australia, but our bands in Australia want to go to America
and
for the same reason. It's so weird. Like, you want to come here, but I guess, we have to appreciate our Australian music more than we should, because we want to leave Australia to be bigger. I'm like, you guys can stay here. People want to come from America to visit.
yeah, I mean, it's always gonna be like that. But the bands, and yet, like I always think about that. Like I think about all the American bands, and they all try to sing like they're British, and like the way Billy Joe from Green Day, like that. They all have that like British tinge to their voice. But then I think about like in the '60s, you know, the Who and the Rolling Stones, they all went through their freaking country phase where they tried to sound American, and everyone always just tries to be what the other thing is, and I think that's just how life works. But like be honest, our new record, a lot of the things are influenced by the sounds of what's coming out of Australia right now. There's so many awesome. We actually, the guy who mastered our new record, Brian Lucy, I just saw he mastered Psychedelic Porn Crumpets last record. They're another Australian band. I love them so much. Who else? There's Stonefield. Stonefield's super good. The Babe Rainbow. Like basically all those bands on Flightless Records. They're like Australia is killing it in the rock world right now.
Dude, how you mentioned the psychedelic porn crumpets. Years at like, you're like in LA, your drinking age is like 21, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like ours is like 18. So like I was freshly 18 and like pissed at a pub, and we're chatting with these dudes, and like they're like, oh, I play in a band, and I was like, what's the band called? And like absolutely smashed at this point. And they're like, the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets. I was like, the Psychedelic fucking Porn Crumpets, is that your name? Anyway, after that chat, it just like we're just having fun and they were laughing and whatever, but then it only dawned upon me like about a year later when I was like started to see their fucking names start to pop up everywhere and anywhere. But it's just like such a fucking small world that you're mentioning the Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, and like they probably live a couple suburbs away.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, yeah, dude, that's the thing about like this genre of music. It wouldn't really be like that if we were in the 90s, because like in the 90s, the labels kind of, there was like small pawns, and they'd say, okay, this is the best band out of this, and they'd sign it, and they put all their money into it. And then you have, like with Nirvana, you have being really good and having a ton of money behind you. They reinforce each other, those two things. But everyone kind of had to like the same thing, because you go to school and everyone's listening to Tool. You kind of have to like Tool, so everyone kind of likes the same bands because they're the famous bands. But today, everyone has access to all of the music in the world, and no one has to buy a vinyl or buy a CD to get that. It's not so much of a community anymore, in the sense that everyone at school is listening to it. It's more that you have to kind of search for it. And if you're not going to find, like, if my friends at school don't like Psychedelic Porn Crumpets, I'm going to find someone on Reddit or someone on Instagram who does. So you end up getting exposed to stuff from all over the world. And of course, when they come to town, I'm freaking hyped to see them. I have never seen them live, but they put on a crazy show from what I've seen on YouTube. And I have all 3 or 4 of their records on vinyl. I spent like $150 on. They did a High Visceral repress, and like it's worth like $400 or something now. The vinyl game, like King Gizzard 2, they're crazy about how you can buy their stuff, their vinyl for 20 Australia, whatever it is, and then it instantly, because they sell out in like 5 minutes, they go up like $200 in value.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Crazy. The vinyl community is a whole other thing, but
Dude,
a
like
whole other conversation.
when you're talking about like too, like the vinyls are like $400, you know, I'm doing the exchange rate in my head and I'm like, that's like if you said $400, you know, what's that, like 600 or $700 Australian? And,
Exactly.
you know, dude, that's fucking incredible. It's just weird to think that, like, you know, that we're on this little, well, on, you know, in Australia, that we're making it such a racket that you guys are like hearing about, about us overseas.
I mean, even dude, the chats,
Oh,
everyone they're on Coachella. Like, think Coachella is where freaking, you know, you got Beyonce, like the biggest artist. Like the chats are like in the middle of the lineup at Coachella, and all my friends are like, dude, I'm not going to Coachella, and they're like, dude, the chats are on. I was like, oh, we gotta go, dude, we gotta go if the chats are there. Like that was a conversation that I had at a party like last week.
oh my God,
It's
man.
funny, the chat started off as a pub, like made a pub song, and it just blew up from there. And they just
Yeah.
made their own stuff.
The chats are from like rural Queensland, I think.
I not like forget the rock scene and punk scene. Like, you know, they should know their stuff. But I went to high school in Northern California in this town called Chico. That's like the tiniest. It's like a couple miles long. It's the tiniest place in the world. No one knows even that it exists. But I was there and we had a class because it was like a music school kind of. They have recording arts program, but they had a class called pop band where people would get in a group and they'd play instruments and we'd do covers. And I was in a band with, you know, people who were more, you know, let's say better players. And there was another band who were my best friends who I hang out with, but they don't actually really normally play instruments. They're just kind of there to have fun. And there are people who listen to like BTS, you know, they're like a K-pop boy band. They listen to all pop music. They don't listen to rock, but they covered Smoko because they knew it from TikTok. Like the whole world knew Smoko by the chats. Like people who don't even listen to rock music. It's crazy how much of an imprint that band made on like not just the rock world, but the music world. Like everyone knows that song because it's like iconic.
Do you even have Smoko over there? Like, do you know, like, do you have, you know, like, do you know what Smoko is? Like,
Like a smoke break.
yeah, like a smoke break. Like, do you call, what do you call it over there? Just a smoke break? Or like, do you have that at like jobs and stuff?
The entire concept of that was explained by the music video. Like none of us had ever heard of anything like that. And they were like, "What is Smoko?" Like people thought that the lyric, like my friends were, they was like, "I thought he said I want Smoko. I didn't." But the lyric is, "I'm on Smoko,"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like you have to look it up. But yeah, like that was just a completely new thing to us.
How to learn Australian slang. Oh, we'll put the
Yeah.
chats on for you.
Like in Australia, if you work at like a job, right, you get like your lunch break, whatever. But if you're a smoker, you get an extra 15-minute break. Like that's the smoko break. So the thing is, like, they have this like it's like a myth or like a stereotype where all the tradesmen, like plumbers and builders and stuff, are like all lazy pricks who go and smoko like 100 times a day, you know, because they can take as many smoko breaks as they want. That's
It's like a free pass to taking a break at any time.
yeah.
That's what the stereotype is.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Just
Well, I
on
bet there wasn't another song about that before, so that they're adding something new to the world.
yeah, man. Like, oh man, now you've just given me good like ideas to start like Australian like trivial things that are like bad.
Yeah, just like King Gizzard, they have that song Vegemite, and like I remember my aunt, she was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I'm playing it's Vegemite." She's like, "What's Vegemite?" It's like, "What?"
Do you eat Vegemite over there? Like, can you even buy it?
No, it's not. Like I honestly sorta half found out about it from King Gizzard. Like it's just not a common thing. Whereas over there, it's, you know, like it's all everywhere, right? Like it's
Yeah, man. Like it's just like every time like we've like had like American exchange students, or like I meet Americans, or like you know, you give it to them and it's just funny because their faces, like they eat it and they just think it's the most disgusting thing ever, because like it's like spread that you put on like bread. Like if you're making toast or something, you put Vegemite on toast, and like it's really salty. But like if you're Australian, like you grow up eating this since you're like, you know, like you're like a toddler, and you grow to like it. But if you're from anywhere else in the world, you eat it and they're like, oh.
That's what I've heard about it. That's why I've never had it. But,
Oh man, you should eat it. Like you know, if are we allowed to send food over to you guys?
Yeah, we
Guys,
can.
we'll send you
Yeah,
a jar.
I think it's like care packages you can send out through a website. You can just drop them off for people in different overseas stuff. You can just drop a box of Australian stuff to them.
oh man, yeah. I mean, one day, like, because my father, he likes like this stuff called Branston pickle from it's like a UK spread or something, and it reminds me of like because it's like sweet, but it's like salty, but it's like it's just got everything in it. It's got like fruit in it, but it's like barbecue sauce, and it's like if someone went into the fridge and got one of everything and put it in the blender, which just to me sounds horrible,
Yeah.
but to them they grow up having it, and it's like okay, and they just get used to it. So like in America, we're kind of like just weird. Like there's nothing really that original other than the fact that we just deep fry everything. I guess that's like the only thing America's really invented. Everything else is just borrowed from other cultures. But the idea of excess is pretty American, you know, like buy one get three free, you know. And like the county fair where they get a Snickers bar and they dip it in batter and they deep fry it and then they put ice cream on it and then they put this on. Like they have some of that stuff. Like we just played at the fair here, and seeing some of the food is just outrageous.
Yeah.
Like here we just love deep fry, and I'm in California, which is, you know, the least of that stuff.
Yeah.
California actually is kind of known for the opposite. Like people will say, you know, we put avocado on everything, or, you know, salad, pizza, and, you know, juicing. That's what California is known for, like the opposite of all that stuff. But when you go to the South, like they love deep frying stuff. Like it's crazy. But I guess it's kind of like that in the UK too. The first time I ever tried a deep fried Mars bar was in the UK. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that they invented the Mars bar, deep fried Mars bar over there.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's something the world needed.
So like what, you know, what's the, you know, when like bands, you were talking before about like, you know, Cage the Elephant and the Struts, when they're playing in America, are they playing big shows, man? Like is it, you know, is it huge? Like are they playing like little, you know, little stadiums or theaters? Like what's the audience like over there?
So I think Cage the Elephant, they probably play bigger shows than the Struts, but the Struts definitely play huge shows. The difference would be Cage the Elephant headlines. The Struts do their own headlining shows, but like they're playing like in Sacramento. They I don't know, because there's huge like stadiums and stuff where I think the Struts, if they're playing stadiums, they're probably like the opening band. But when they're playing, like they do their own headlining tours, and they play like the House of Blues and stuff where it's like, you know, 1,700 capacity. Whereas Cage the Elephant, I think they're just slightly past that. They're almost to arenas now. Their last tour they did a co-headlining tour with Beck, and I think that was like they were playing, you know, 5,000 capacity, stuff like that. And then on festivals, they're really high up. The Struts are also really high up on festivals, but the one we just played, Summerfest, is one of those festivals though where it's like it's 3 weeks long and it doesn't repeat the lineup like Coachella. It's 3 different lineups. So, and there's 9 stages, I think. Well, and all the 9 stages have, you know, like A-list bands, like and then that's, you know, if that's, and there's a Thursday even, so that's 12 days of 9 stages.
Wow.
With so it's like every night is just a huge headliner. Like at Coachella, there's 3 main headliners who are the main A-list acts. At Summerfest, there's 12.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Dude, I'm gonna ask like a really dumb question, but like, how do you guys play shows if you're like under like 21? Like, does it not matter? Like, does it?
no, it matters, dude. It's so annoying. It varies from place to place. Some places are chill about it. Some places they just make you write the X on your hand.
Yeah.
Some places they just don't book you. They're like, screw you, you're not playing here, period. And then some, like you get there and then they just make you freaking sit outside for the rest of the night, and it sucks. And it really sucks for me because I'm not even trying to drink. Like the rest of the, like Foster, he is 20 and a half. He's going to be 21 soon, but he has, fake ID. He, he likes to have a drink just like everyone likes to have a drink. But
Yeah.
I myself, like, that's not my goal. When I go to a show, like, I'm just trying to see the band. We're trying to play the show. And that statement never comes across to the guys who are booking. So they don't believe me. So I just gotta wait. I got 3 more years. So.
Oh man, like yeah. Oh, well, if you come over here, man, you're legal tomorrow. So
Yeah,
You're legal as soon as you get off the plane.
yeah, pretty much. Or even if you catch Qantas over here, man. Like I think once you get like in the air, you're legal, aren't you?
Yeah, as
Yeah,
soon
I
as you're
mean-
in the border, inside the borders, you can.
pretty much everywhere except the US is weird about stuff like that. Like,
Is it the same? Like, can I just ask? Like, you're in LA, so is it the same with like weed and things like that? Like, you guys have that legalized there. Like, do you have to be 21 as well?
I think it actually, I was just talking about it with someone. It is 21, but there's all sorts of exceptions. Like weed is especially in California, dude. Like it's the most like they just sell it everywhere. I remember we went to Coachella and they had like a weed just dispensary just everywhere. They're just pushing weed everywhere, and everyone is into it. So it's like, fine. I think they're gonna legalize mushrooms and acid, all sorts of stuff. So lenient here with stuff like that. So that is one thing. It's like the opposite of the, how the conservative they are with drinks. But I don't know. It's weird how just so many things with politics. How like you never want to get too into it, but like some things, it's like they're fine with this, but they're super against this thing.
Yeah.
Contradictory, like somewhere in between, you can tell someone's making this decision and someone completely different is making the other decision, and they don't really like. It's just weird.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. It seems really weird that that's you can do that, but not that. But a question about your music, like now, like who are you listening to other than like some of the Australian bands that you mentioned, but like who are your greatest influences?
So of course, you go with the 60s. So like the Beatles are my all-time favorite band ever.
Yeah.
And then the Doors and the Who. Definitely in like live performances, the Who are like the best. In live performances, the Beatles are kind of like,
yeah,
they kind of stand there and hold their guitars. They never really got a chance to rock hard on the stage. But in every other way, they are probably the best band. But then I also love, Nirvana and a lot of Brit rock, like 90s Brit rock. I said Supergrass, but like the Charlatans and Oasis and Blur and all that stuff. But then also, one of my biggest, probably like my second favorite, or if I say the Beatles are my favorite, my second would have to be Jack White. White Stripes, the Raconteurs, anything he touches or has anything to do with. I love Jack White so much. And then from now, I mean, Ty Segall and the OCs, all the psych rock that's happening right now, and for the past 10 years, like Foxygen and just all that stuff. Because I mean, it's like when you think about psych rock, it really didn't happen till like 1966, and then in 1969, it kind of ended. Like psychedelic music was only a thing for a really tiny period of time, and then it went into like that, the Vietnam War, Creedence Clearwater, like everyone had, the army green, and it was just like, and everyone went into either this like southern territory of like folk rock or disco, and just like psychedelic rock just died. It barely got a chance to exist.
I mean, the
So,
Dead carried it a little bit, like, I think they were the,
but like, I mean, that's the thing. It turned into like the stuff that I like that, people like Tyson and Gizzard are making now. That world of using, mellotron flutes and stuff like that in their music, that turned into like, Frank Zappa and King Crimson, like prog rock essentially. And, as cool as prog rock is, it's not as accessible as, like you listen to Strawberry Fields Forever. They're writing a song where all the parts are very intentional, and it's a good pop song that's 3 minutes. Whereas the people who use that kind of production, like Frank Zappa, they made freaking 17-minute joke songs, and it wasn't in the mainstream. Whereas now people are coming back to that production, and not just that, but like 2010, maybe 2009, 2008. And then it also got mixed with the psychedelic punk, because that's the thing, is King Gizzard psychedelic, but they're also, a garage rock band at their core. And the other thing is garage rock music started in like 1966 too, because you have the Sonics and the Standells and 13 Floor Elevators, all those guys who were, they didn't have enough money to make a super awesome record, so they just overdrove the preamps and they all sang into one microphone, and it's just super like edgy and badass, like by accident, just because the preamp was being overdriven. And that whole sound happened at the same time, so they kind of, the same people, like Ty Segall, who were into psych rock, they were also into garage rock, and it kind of formed into one sound of just music from the 60s that people liked. So then in the 2010s, everyone was just like, hell yeah. And we have this whole world of like, I guess the Flaming Lips, Ariel Pink, all those guys who are, because, like DIY recording also got big, and, Mac DeMarco has a bit of that stuff. And synthesizers were just like being invented in like 1967 or so. Basically, the stuff didn't totally exist. Like punk didn't happen till after the 60s. Or that's another example. You know that band, the Babe Rainbow? They're called the Babe Rainbow. They're an Australian band, and they're really cool because they make like, it's like disco, some of their songs, but the production is completely analog, organic, and they're like a 60s sounding band. But the thing is, disco music didn't exist in the 60s. So the idea of like 60s production playing disco,
there you are, you're back.
I get lost. Oh yeah. Anyway, the idea of like 60s production with disco, it literally didn't exist in the 60s. So to hear that, that's like something completely brand new being added. Sorry, I keep getting a call, and I can't sit here. Actually, am I off right now?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Stop. I'm in an interview, Mom. Sorry, dude. Anyway, I could go on forever about stuff like that. But what were we talking about again?
Oh, dude, you were talking about an Australian band that sounded like a disco band in the 60s, and and then you kept.
Oh yeah. Anyway, just music. That was a big tangent. I don't even know where we started, but yeah.
Well, dude, like I'll just get away from like that question, because I don't even know where we're at with it anymore. But I wanted to ask before too, like, how you're talking about like the history of like the Doors and stuff like that, and like real California music. I'm just wondering, like, is there much of that history like still there? Like, can you like you know, when you're walking around LA, can you still see those kind of monuments and things that existed in the 60s? And like, is there people that you know, like appreciate that scene, like still there?
Oh, totally. Like, I mean, when you go, you can go to the store where the creatures meet, you know, right in Laurel Canyon, and all the houses that existed in Laurel Canyon back in the 60s, they're all the same houses built out of like really crappy wood. And, you know, you can go down to Venice where, you know, all the spots that they go to in the Doors movie, whenever, because I'm like 3 miles from Venice Beach, listening to the Doors there, it's like, man, wow, these songs were written right here on the beach. You know, Jim was probably here with his pen and his little book writing freaking Light My Fire or whatever it is, whatever the song was. And but yeah, the monuments, like people still, I don't know where it is, but I always see people, they recreate like the Morrison Hotel
Yeah.
album cover and stuff like. It was funny actually. It's kind of related. Foster and Hudson, the drums and bass of Velvet Starlings, when we met, my dad was with me and he had a Target shirt on. They were like, "Oh, it's the Who. We like the Who." I was like, "Oh, dude, yeah, the Who rock." And they were like, I was like, "We just got back from a tour in the UK. We just got back from the UK actually yesterday." And he was like, "Oh, dude, we were there like a couple months ago." And I was like, "Oh, were you guys on tour?" And they were like, "No, we were just there for vacation trying to recreate the What's the Story Morning Glory album cover." It was like, that was just the funniest thing to me. It's like, dude, these guys live it, man. They went all the way to the UK to recreate the album cover. It was like that. That was the statement that was like, okay, these guys are gods. They know what's up. And yeah, like people, but yeah, here in the, you know, the monuments are still here. And people still like the Doors. I don't know, what are some other rock monument? Like, I don't
Like
know, like people
Sunset
still go
Strip,
to
like
Abbey Road.
is the Sunset Strip still like cool, or is it just like?
Well, you know, the Whiskey and the Viper Room and all those places that are on the strip, they're, I mean, there's a lot of billboard. It's definitely been gentrified, but those spots specifically, they're kind of like known as that. Like you're not gonna see the super cool bands play. That the only place the Troubadour is still considered cool,
Yeah.
but the Whiskey A Go Go is not the same Whiskey A Go Go that Jim Morrison played at. That's what I will say.
Oh, okay.
But it's still there and it's got the
Yeah.
sign. And if you're in town, like they still got poster or photos up of the Doors in there.
Yeah, cool, man. I just wondered, you know, over the years, have they just kind of painted over that kind of world that existed, you know, years ago?
I mean, it still looks pretty awesome. Like what's his face? Quentin Tarantino. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like, what's the restaurant they go to? Like all the stuff they were able to film on location for the whole movie because you know, a lot of the stuff really does still look the same. A lot of the clubs, a lot of things didn't do that well because of COVID, but like a couple of our favorite venues that got closed down.
Oh,
But
That's a shame.
but at
But-
least,
they
sorry.
got other venues, they got bought out by Live Nation, and it is bad because, you know, they're going to control everything, but it's also good because they added awesome lights and stage stuff and screens and all sorts of cool stuff that, you know, they didn't have before. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been a few venues that were closed down during COVID last year because of just a lack of money, of course. And there's been a few venues had to do charities just to keep them going. So they had like a few like charity at the Crowbar where like 40 different band members came in to play, and it worked out. They raised so much money they could last another like 4 months because they got no pokies. It's just like bar, a restaurant, and then there's just like a big venue area. So
Hey, can we
places
see-
like that don't exist as much as they used to in Sydney because of COVID. It just shut down everything, and the music scene just tiny bit, not there. So it's a bit of a shame.
Hey, do
Yeah.
you know what pokies are? Like when Paul said that, I was like, what?
Gaming, slot machine. Sorry, yeah, slot machine. It's a big thing over here because we rely on those machines to keep the economy running.
Yeah, I never see them. Like there are slot machines like in Las Vegas. I've seen them, but like in California, I don't know if I've ever seen one.
They probably don't have to rely on it like as us. So that's probably the difference.
But
Got the slang.
yeah, I was just wondering, as Paul was saying that, I was like, dude, do you know what the slop, like the pokies, word means? Like, I was just, hoping that it cleared up because I was, in case there was any confusion there for a second.
There was a tiny bit, not gonna lie.
But yeah, man, like where in the next 12 months do you want to take the Velvet Starlings? Like how far do you guys want to go? Like what's the plans?
Well, in terms of taking that question literally, where do we want to go? We want to go to Australia, dude. But in terms of just in general, ideally, we just like to keep doing what we're doing, playing shows, making new records, going to shows. For Velvet Starlings, we just are hoping for an upward trajectory. You can't really plan for success, but it's not good to plan for failure either, because otherwise, you aim high and you fall somewhere in between.
Yeah.
That's the best you can do.
Absolutely, man. But I think we're opening the borders in December. So if you can rustle up all the dudes and come over here, yeah, I don't think we'll be locked down again because I don't think our government wants to, can afford to do it again. So I think you'll be pretty safe if you come over here sometime next year or, during December. So
yeah, I think international travel opens in December.
We're ready.
December we can open international. From LA, Sydney's open in December, but I saw last night. I think Sydney and Melbourne, the only places that have opened up to like London and LA at the moment in December.
Well, I could be a freaking February tour or a March tour. We'll have our next record coming out by then. So, man, that's soon.
Yeah, man. Like, it's certainly not far away. Like that'll be.
Could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Over here, man. Like, yeah, it'll be awesome. I think you guys will be shocked. I think you'll be very jealous of like the beaches and stuff.
Yeah, dude. Actual clear water. The water here sucks.
Like, do you even have like good waves and stuff like to surf? Like, I know there are surfers, but like, in videos and stuff, it looks kind of shit. Like, no offense.
There's good waves in other places that aren't LA, but LA just kind of sucks for anything. Just the water itself is freaking just gray. Like you can't see anything. There's no fish. So
oh man, like you're gonna love it.
Yeah, it's probably like SpongeBob over there. I want to go.
Yeah.
They're funny
colors. Yeah.
Dude, one myth I just want to like spoil for you is like everyone like that I meet from the States is like thinks that we have like all these dangerous like animals, but like I don't think we do. Like, like if you go in the outback, you'll see snakes and like crocodiles up in the north part, but like for the rest of Australia, like there's nothing. I feel like you guys have more, fucking freaky animals than us. You got like raccoons and like tarantulas and like, snakes and coyotes and shit and like mountain lions. What the fuck is a mountain lion? Like that looks scary, dude.
Yeah, dude. It's all the celebrities. I remember all the kids at school who were rich. They'd always come home or come to school and be like, my cat got eaten by a coyote last night. It's like it's and they're all in the mountains because everyone who's super rich lives in their mansions on the hill, and on the hill all the freaking mountain lion or coyotes, all those dudes, they hang out and they eat famous people's cats. It's just what they do.
Yeah, man.
Well, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Dude, I saw a video of one on like TikTok, and that it looks scary as shit. Like it was huge. I was like, what do you even do if you come across that thing?
You die.
Yeah, pretty much. That doesn't look like you're gonna get away. Oh man. But how long has this interview been going for?
I
Oh,
think it's
nearly.
about 50 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
man.
nice.
It's been good. I've been enjoying it. It's been fun.
Yeah, I think
like
people
this.
are gonna watch this, man, and just like have a laugh, which is good as well. Like, it'll be a fun interview, I think.
Yeah, dude. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love freaking doing interviews, especially people who get the Australian music scene. Sometimes I talk to people here and they're like, just like stuff from America. Or you talk to like my dad, he just likes stuff from England. But dude, we gotta come to Australia. We want to so bad.
Yeah, man.
It's like,
bring your sunblock.
yes. We're used to the hot sun here in California. But I could imagine it could probably get pretty hot over there.
You'll definitely get along with the bands down here, man. I could tell already. Because you already got Blake guitarist following you, so that's a good start already.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
thanks for having us, dude.
No worries. Is there
Appreciate
anything like before we wrap this up, dude? Is there anything that you want to say, you want to plug, you want to I'll pass the mic to you.
I mean, basically the main thing is just we have our debut record, Technicolor Shakedown, coming out on September 29th, and we're super psyched to freaking come to Australia.
Oh, beautiful, man. Well, hopefully, somebody will watch this and make it happen for you, man. Get in touch with you. Like a lot of our, audience at the moment is just Sydney musicians. So, yeah.
Well, hell yeah! If we want to freaking just could set up a show with some Sydney bands, or even just go to like when we go there, we'd be down to like just stay in Australia and just watch bands and go to shows and live the life.
Dude, when you're in
Play
Australia, let us know and we'll come. We'll come have some beers with you guys. It'd be fucking.
Yeah, dude, I can drink beer there. Oh my
Yeah.
god! Like fast forwarding 3 years into the future.
Yeah, man. Like, but if you smoke weed here, they'll lock you in jail. So,
I've actually never smoked weed. I've never smoked weed.
Oh man,
Nope.
we think that everyone in LA must smoke weed because it's you just can.
Yeah, well, the rest of the band, they smoke a lot of weed, so they balance it out for me.
Yeah, nice, man. Well, thank you for coming on, man, and let us know when you're here.
For sure. Awesome, dude. All right, I'll see you guys.
See you later, man.
Peace.